I ain't talking about shit else. Just know sometimes my heart be in the motherfucking right place and I just get tricked. Sometimes I believe shit that ain't right. Like I thought Mike Tyson was gonna whoop the shit out that young white gentleman. I believed that shit. I had a party, invited my ancestors over and everything. Had chips and dip and unnecessary regalia. I just want to see Mike Tyson, the beast, the monster, in the motherfucking ring again. I knew early in the evening something was wrong. I had to put my blunt out for only the 4th time without the police's presence. I looked up, Mike had his whole ass out. I said, pay-per-view, not only fans, bitch. You don't have my consent to show me this. The fight hadn't even started. I had put my money on this nigga. I had to rationalize for him. I said some stupid shit. I said, I know he ain't finna lose with his ass out. Boy, was I wrong. They called Mike Tyson out. Mike Tyson came to the ring like Joe Biden on his way to a helicopter, bitch. Looked like he was fighting gravity. But that's the new thing about the world we live in. You can take the pressure off yourself. Just do the best job you can possibly do. Because you either gonna win spectacular or you gonna lose spectacular. Your job is just make sure it's spectacular. And you can take a spectacular L. Kamala Harris showed us that shit. She took a L like a champ. We ain't never seen no shit like that. They tried to act like nobody voted for Kamala. They put up the map, the whole map was red. Even the people that voted for her was red. They showed her house, it was 50-50. It ain't but 2 of y'all in there. They tried to blame everybody. They blamed black men. It was not our fault. Blame anybody else. No Indians voted for her at all. Even women that wanted an abortion said, I guess I'll just have to figure something out. They said she didn't have enough electoral college votes to graduate. At one point in the election, Katt Williams had more votes. That's where we were as a country. Everybody asking the same question, is she black? Is she black? Is she black? At the end, she showed you exactly what she was. It was time for her concession speech. She ain't even show up. That's a nigga right there. We should have never doubted it. She just rolled by with her pinky finger in the air. But that's the best part about America. In America, it don't matter who you choose, because we all gonna pay the price together. That's what make it gambling. We gonna pay the price together, no matter what it is. You don't want this one? Fine. Well, who's up next? That's right. Don't be complaining about who up next. Just because it happened to be Donald J. Darth Vader Trump. Yeah, I don't give a fuck what you think about him. That motherfucker is excited. That motherfucking Trump. You do not know what he finna do tomorrow. No the fuck you don't. All you know is he gonna do something. He'd been president before. This time he was not bullshit. He been office 200 days. He done 200 things. Good things, bad things, who gives a fuck? Things. He do his shit today and figure out what the fuck he just did tomorrow. Yeah. He found out all you gotta do is think about it, research it, make it happen. And this term, he said, get research the fuck out of here. We will not be needing your services. He don't give a fuck. If it makes sense to him, it makes sense. First thing he did is come in and fired all the wrong people. Fired 1,000 people at the Nuclear Security Administration. The next day he said, well, what did they do? They took care of the bombs, Mr. President. Well, get them the fuck back in here. You know I didn't mean them. I meant TSA, the one with the shoes. Trump don't give a fuck. He do it today, figure it out tomorrow. He fired thousands of people at the FAA. And then 14 planes landed upside down in 14 days. Y'all didn't say shit. Sometimes they land like that. No, they don't. If it makes sense to him, it makes sense. He don't think like everybody else. They told him only 28% of our 8th graders can read. He said, who gave the test? The Department of Education. Well, get them the fuck out of here. Take them books with them. How the fuck we gonna fail a test we don't take, bitch? Ain't nobody funnier than this guy. It might look like he don't know what he doing. He be knowing what the fuck he doing. He got us in 5 wars at one time. We had 5 wars one time. Here's the brilliant part. None of the nations that we are at war with, none of them got an army. We just over there bullying. Shut the fuck up. Y'all ain't got no goddamn. Give a fuck about your maple syrup, Canada. If you're a comedian, you ain't never seen nobody funnier than this. And he don't give a fuck if he already said one thing. He don't mind changing it when he needs to change it. Trump said, I will absolutely show you the Epstein files. Then they showed him the files. He said, bitch, is that my name? You got me fucked up. You better... Ever since grab her by the pussy, I thought he could never say anything else. Make me put my blunt out. This month, allegedly, he said he spoke with the president of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. My whole brain scrambled. Sir, you are the president of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. So the question is, who the fuck was you talking to? J.D. Vance was in a corner. This is Puerto Rico, sir. Trump is just funny. He didn't even know who Bad Bunny was. He said, I don't think a Hispanic rabbit should be at the Super Bowl. From the outside looking in, it would seem like this country should be at its most divided. But I promise you, the reason this is the greatest country in the world is because we are the United States of America, heavy on the United, regardless of what we believe. And the whole thing is, as a family of different colors, we gonna need each other coming up.
Everybody stop. Right now. All the way stop. Not the kind of stop where you slow down a little and half pay attention while stay doing whatever you were doing before. The full stop. The complete stop. The kind of stop where whatever was in your hands gets put down, and whatever was on your mind gets set aside, and whatever was competing for your attention gets firmly, politely, permanently deprioritized. Because I am looking at a title right now that has done something to me. Something that is simultaneously simple and profound. Something that is so straightforward in its presentation and so bottomless in its implication that I have been staring at it for what feels like a very long time and finding something new in it every single time I look. And the title says Katt Williams dropping some pure gems. Just that. 5 words. No context, no subject, no on this topic or about this person or regarding this situation. No specification of any kind about what the gems are or where they come from or what territory they cover or what truth they illuminate. Just Katt Williams dropping some pure gems. And I am completely, helplessly, totally transfixed. Because here's the thing about those 5 words. Here's the thing that I keep coming back to every time I read them. They are not promising me a topic. They are not promising me a subject. They are not saying Katt Williams is going to talk about this specific thing, and here is why you should care about this specific thing. They are promising me something much larger and much more fundamental than any specific thing. They are promising me Katt Williams. Just him in his full, uncontained, unrestricted, uncategorized, untopicalized glory. Not Katt Williams on politics, not Katt Williams on the industry, not Katt Williams on love or God or war or America, or any of the specific particular named subjects that a title usually organizes itself around. Dropping gems. The gems that happen when Katt Williams speaks without a specific subject to constrain him. Without a particular angle to stay within. Without anything to limit the territory his mind can cover or the directions his thinking can go. And that, the promise of Katt Williams unconstrained, Katt Williams without limits, Katt Williams just being Katt Williams and saying what comes out when you give that mind free rein and a platform. That is one of the most compelling promises a title can make. Because we have talked about Katt Williams in many specific contexts, have anticipated what he might say about politics and religion and love and war and industry, and all the particular domains where his wisdom is clearly and demonstrably applicable. But a title like this is not offering us Katt Williams in a particular domain. It is offering us the source, the well, the thing that produces all of the domain-specific gems in the first place. The raw, unfiltered, unrestricted mind of Katt Williams doing what it does when it is free to do anything. And that is extraordinary. But before I go anywhere else, before I explore what this title is promising and what it might deliver and why the simplicity of it is actually the most sophisticated thing about it, we need to do what we always do. We need to talk about the man. And today, given the specific nature of this title, given that it is not about a topic but about a person, not about a subject but about a mind, I want to talk about Katt Williams as a mind, specifically, as an instrument of understanding, as a thing that processes the world and produces from that processing something that the rest of us recognize as wisdom, as truth, as the specific quality of insight that, when it lands, feels less like learning something new, and more like remembering something you always knew but could never quite articulate. Because that is what a gem does. That is the specific quality that elevates something from a good observation to a pure gem. It does not give you information you did not have. It gives you language for something you already knew at a level below language. It takes the thing that has been living in you as a feeling, as an intuition, as a wordless awareness of something true, and it finds the words, the exact, precise, perfectly weighted words, and in finding those words, it makes the thing real in a new way, holdable in a new way, something you can carry with you and use, something that becomes part of how you see the world, rather than just a passing thought that fades. And Katt Williams produces that, consistently, prolifically, at a rate and a quality that I genuinely believe has no peer in the current landscape of public intellectuals and public communicators, not because he has more information than other people, not because he has more education or more institutional credentials or more access to research and data, but because he has something rarer than all of those things, something that all the education and credentials and data in the world cannot produce if it is not already present. He has sight. And I mean that word very precisely, not just intelligence, which Katt Williams absolutely has in abundance, not just wit, which he has more of than almost anyone, not just the ability to find the funny in things, which is one of his most visible gifts. I mean sight. The ability to actually see what is in front of him, what is happening around him, what the world is actually doing, as opposed to what it is supposed to be doing or what the official story says it is doing, or what most people are willing to acknowledge it is doing. That sight, that quality of really truly deeply seeing, is the source of the gems. Every gem Katt Williams has ever dropped has come from that place, from the seeing, from the moment where his attention landed on something, a person, a situation, a cultural dynamic, a moment of hypocrisy or beauty or absurdity or profound human truth, and he saw it, really saw it, saw not just the surface but everything underneath the surface, and then found a way to show it to everyone else. And a title that simply says Katt Williams dropping some pure gems is a title that is promising us access to that sight, not through a specific lens or a specific filter or a specific predetermined topic, just the sight itself, operating freely, ranging wherever it ranges, finding whatever it finds. And I want to be there for that. Now let me spend some time with the specific words in this title, because even though the title is simple, is in fact its simplicity that makes it so compelling. Each word is doing something specific and worth examining. Dropping. This is not a passive word. This is not sharing or discussing or offering. Dropping, which implies, and I think this is intentional, implies a kind of casual, almost effortless abundance, like the gems are just coming, are just falling out of him, are not the product of labored construction or careful calculation, but of a mind that is so full of this stuff, so naturally and continuously producing insight, that the gems just drop. The way fruit drops from a tree that is heavy with it. The way rain drops from a cloud that cannot hold any more. Not because of effort, but because of abundance, because of the natural overflow of a mind that simply produces this constantly, reliably, inexhaustibly. And that image, of gems dropping, of abundance so great that it just falls, just flows, just comes without being pushed, is an image of genius. Of the specific kind of genius that does not look like genius from the outside, because it is so effortless. That looks instead like just talking, like just being, like just Katt Williams existing in front of a camera or an audience and saying things. But the things that come out, the gems that drop, are not just things, they are distillations. Each one represents not just the thought that produced it, but the entire edifice of observation and experience and synthesis and wisdom that the thought is sitting on top of, the visible tip of something enormous and deep. And he makes it look easy. That is the most extraordinary thing about it. He makes dropping pure gems look as natural as breathing. Some, and I love this word in this title, I love it for its modesty. Its understatement, its complete refusal to oversell what is about to happen. Not incredible gems, not earth-shattering gems, not the most important gems you will ever hear. Just some gems, a quantity of gems, an unspecified but apparently significant enough quantity that someone felt compelled to make a video about it, but presented with the most casual, the most unassuming, the most we are not trying to hype this but it is worth your time framing imaginable. And that understatement is itself a kind of promise, because the things that are worth the most are usually presented with the least fanfare, the things that are most loudly advertised, are rarely the things that deliver most deeply. But some gems, said quietly, said without exclamation points or superlatives, said with the confidence of someone who knows the content is going to do the work without any additional selling. That quiet confidence, that willingness to simply say some gems, and trust that it is enough, is itself a signal that what we are about to get is the real thing, the genuine article, the kind of thing that does not need a circus to get your attention, because once it has your attention, it earns it completely. Pure. And here is the word I want to spend the most time with, because pure is doing more work in this title than any other word, is carrying more meaning, more specific and more important meaning. What does it mean for a gem to be pure? In the literal gemological sense, in the sense where we are talking about actual precious stones, purity refers to the absence of inclusions, of contaminations, of the foreign material that clouds the stone, diminishes its clarity, makes it worth less than its potential. A pure gem is one that is entirely what it is supposed to be. No compromise, no dilution, no contamination by anything that is not essential to its nature. Just the thing itself, in its fullest, most undiluted, most completely realized form. And what does that mean when applied to insight? When applied to the specific kind of truth that Katt Williams produces, it means, and I think this is the most precise definition I can offer, it means insight that has not been contaminated by the things that usually contaminate public speech, by the need to please, by the calculation of what is safe to say, by the management of image, and the protection of relationships, and the anticipation of backlash, and all of the other forces that operate on most public figures, and cause most public speech to be not quite what the speaker actually thinks, to be a version of the truth that has been filtered and softened and shaped for consumption in ways that diminish its clarity, that make it less than pure. And Katt Williams, who has always consistently, at great personal cost, refused those contaminating forces, produces something different, produces something that is, in the most precise sense of the word, pure, unfiltered, unmanaged, uncompromised by anything except the truth as he sees it. And that purity is what makes them gems, rather than just observations, rather than just commentary, rather than just the kind of content that you consume and forget. The purity is what makes them stick, makes them hold their value over time, makes them still true, and still relevant, and still worth holding up to the light days and weeks and years after you first encountered them, because pure things last, contaminated things fade, and Katt Williams' gems last. Now, let me think about what specific gems might be waiting on the other side of this title, what specific territories of truth his unconstrained mind might have wandered into and found something worth extracting. And the possibilities are endless. That is what makes this title so exciting, the absolute endlessness of the possibilities, because Katt Williams' mind ranges across everything, politics and culture and spirituality, and love and industry, and philosophy, and personal history, and social dynamics, and all of the places where human life is most complicated, and most interesting, and most in need of the kind of honest, clear-eyed, unafraid examination that he provides. About the specific mechanisms by which the entertainment industry operates, and the specific costs it exacts on the people who move through it. About what he has seen in his decades of proximity to the machinery of fame, and what it has shown him about power and control, and the relationship between art and commerce. About the specific, documented, hard-to-say publicly truths that he has been one of the few people willing to say about an industry that most people who work in it are afraid to fully critique. He might have dropped gems about people, about human nature, about the specific patterns he has observed in the way people behave when they have power and when they do not, about the gap between how people present themselves and who they actually are, about the specific tells, the small, observable, revealing things that most people miss, but that Katt Williams catches, that show you who someone really is when the performance drops, and the actual person is briefly visible.